I'm going to be very brief because we are going to talk, we want to talk about the manpower shortage issue, which is the focus of this session. So who are we? For those of you who do not know us yet, we are a voluntary group of expert OTs, originally from India, but currently, we are dispersed in different parts of the world. We formed formed IOTTT in February of 2019 in Chennai. So we meet quarterly, we have a structure to meet, and we have a mission, we have a blog. That's why I gave the blog link. So if you go there, you can definitely learn about our mission, how we operate, and stuff like that. So far, we have produced several publications. We have published some simple OT definitions in Tamil and English for the general public, as well as for the healthcare professionals other than OTs, so that they can better understand OT and start referring cases to us. We are currently in the process of validating the Hindi definition as well. We are, seeking stakeholder input. So we are still in the phase of stakeholder input. And we also published a COVID guidelines document. We have published a telerehab guidelines document. And recently, it's a 2 years initiative. We published a scope of practice document for the Indian OT practice, and it got published in the Indian Journal of Occupational Therapy as well. If you have any suggestions, anything you want to communicate us, please feel free to email indianotthinktank@gmail.com. So about this initiative, about the Saturday night chat. So one of our mission is to explore the issues that influence OT practice in India. So we want to brainstorm the issues so that we can definitely, identify some solutions out of that. So what are we going to do in these sessions? Not only today, in the upcoming chat sessions as well, we are simply going to brainstorm a contemporary issue, that's kind of currently affecting us, not historical issue, not a future issue, but something that's really affecting our current practice in OT in India. Why are we doing this? Again, just to resolve an issue, to resolve an issue, we need to first understand the issue. And I think these type of brainstorming sessions will help us understand that issue better. And also we can unearth different perspectives. For example, I might say we are not producing enough OT. On the other side, one might say, no, we are producing enough, but we have a lot more attrition because of the Indian culture, because it's a female dominated profession, a lot of women leave. And, otherwise they say because of the status of the profession, after a certain year of practice, people switch the field. That's why we are kind of like lagging in the manpower. So again, there are different perspectives, right, for the same issue. So we want to unearth different perspectives and views related to that issue. And that's why, we want all of you wonderful people's ideas and perspectives to be shared in a common platform. And we can all kind of like save that. The purpose of recording is nothing but to collect these ideas so that we don't really lose these ideas, and also for future reference. Anybody can go and watch these recording. It will get posted on our, platforms like IOTT blog and other platforms. And also another purpose is to identify innovative ideas and solutions. Again, when multiple brains collide, wonders happen. So we might come up with some innovative ideas and solutions for the contemporary issues that we are facing. And also we want to simply each other on the issue. So that is the purpose of doing this, sessions. And how are we envisioning now? It's a pilot project. We are planning this to do for 1 year. So it'll be like one session every 2 months. So it'll be like every alternate month. So now we are in August. So the next session will be in October, probably third or fourth Saturday of the month. And similarly, we plan to exclude December because, December 3rd or 4th week tends to be in the holiday season. We don't want to disturb the people during the holiday. So it'll be like pretty much 5 sessions from now until next, August means June. So we're going to run these 5 sessions and then see how many people are participating, how much outcome it yields, in the sense of how much interest and how useful it is and stuff like that. And then based on the outcomes of the project, IOTTT may decide to continue this further, or maybe think about maybe a similar but another format of initiative. So each of the session will be focused on a topic. And we are we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we want to keep it for 1 hour. In case we have a lot more participants, a lot more perspectives, we can extend it for 15 more minutes. But I think after that, it'll be like really difficult for us to hold the attention of the people, as well as the recording will be too long and that will discourage people to watch. So let's kind of stick to the time parameter as well. And who will benefit? Basically, the first beneficiaries are the participants, you all, because you're in the real time, you're getting the ideas, you're able to compare and contrast, you can, listen different perspectives. And then again, as I said, we are going to make these recordings available for anyone to see. So that's going to really help a lot of OT stakeholders and OT community in India. And also, again, it's on a web platform, so anyone in the world can actually access. So OT community in the world, other developing countries might started like doing something similar based off of this model. So it's definitely it's going to benefit a lot of people, but it might take a little bit of time reap the benefits. And about this initial, what is the deliverable that we are thinking? Obviously, the first deliverable is a session recording, which is going to be a concrete thing that's available on IOTT platforms. And the next deliverable may be we as in IOTT may develop some resources or publications. Say, for example, we may write a commentary based off of what we're going to discuss today. If it's really, we have some wonderful ideas that we thought we should document in a more scientific format, then we could write a journal article or stuff like that. And again, you all feel free to, again, use these recordings to publish an article, write something, but make sure that you cite IOTT, when you do so. So what are we expecting from you? If you sign up, please show up. Again, today is an example. We are expecting 20 people and we have about 7 or 8, I guess. So please, if you sign up, please show up and please come prepared and actively participate and stay on the topic. Of course, we all know it's all a little interrelated, so it's very difficult. But again, just so that we set the expectations of the audience as well as the listeners of this video in the future, we do not want to say this is the video is about and then talk something else. So try to stay to the topic and try to be as concise and clear so all of us get an opportunity to share our perspectives. And there will be a moderator from IOTTT. Today, I'm the moderator, but going forward, different IOTT members will moderate each topic and sessions, and that will be a co-moderator. It could be another IOTT member who is on the on the call. Today, I have Murali, I have Suresh. Even Naresh will join soon, I guess. We have Ashwini, so we have several IOTT members in the audience already. So again, the idea is to have one moderator and co-moderator to facilitate the sessions. When you share your perspectives, accusations, do not accusate anyone or any entity per se for that reason. And obviously, we all have our own thoughts and reservations, but because we really want to keep this initiative in a very positive tone and approach. So if you want to constructively criticize, again, without mentioning any name and all, remember that you own what you're saying. So with that in mind, try to provide some constructive criticism and wonderful positive ideas. So always try to keep the tone very positive rather than accusatory or negative. And again, just to once again to highlight, the session is being recorded and your participation indicates your consent. And what is today's agenda? Brief introduction. So the first thing we're going to do is basically, very briefly, we're going to introduce ourselves to the audience so we all know who are all in the call. So just tell us name, where are you from and your practice area. Here is mine. My name is Karthik Mani. I live in Texas, US, and I work in academia. And so after the introduction, I'm going to share a little bit about the topic, and then we will get started with the brainstorming questions. So that's the plan. So before I go into the topic, let me first, go with the introduction. So Cheruba, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cheruba. I'm working as a tutor, Faculty of Occupational Therapy, Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research, Chennai.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining the call. And Nidhi?
Greetings, I'm Nidhi. I'm a final year postgrad student from Coimbatore.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And I see RS. I don't know who's that. Someone named, yeah, Daisy Swapna. All right, I think she's on hold. Let's go with Kumaresan. Kumaresan?
Yes, myself.
Yeah.
Yes, Kumaresan Arumugam. I am working here in.
Kumaresan, we couldn't hear you. Yeah, now we can.
Yeah.
So where are you working?
Myself, Kumar therapist, working in Saudi MOH.
Got it. Got it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Saudi MOH here. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And Sugumar? Sugumar? Okay, he's also on hold. All right. So Daisy and Sugumar, whenever you're kind of like releasing your hold, please introduce yourself, your name, where are you from, and your practice area. And Ashwini.
Greetings to everyone. I'm Ashwini, and a very warm welcome to all the participants. So I live in Cork in Ireland, and I am in private practice. I work with school settings, primarily with children with autism spectrum. And so yeah, that's briefly about me. But I trained in Coimbatore in KMCH, so and then I will continue to practice here in Ireland.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Karthik.
You're welcome. Suresh?
Hello all, very good evening. My name is Suresh. I am an associate professor for Public Health Foundation of India. I'm also a fellow for the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, as well as the Wellcome Trust DBT India Alliance program. I'm basically trained in occupational therapy from India, but I've also been trained in public health and epidemiology from the UK. Currently, I'm based in the UK. I'm also part of IOTTT, and very happy to have you all here to discuss on an important issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suresh, for joining us. And Murali. Murali? Murali Krishnan, hello. All right. I don't know. For some reason, he's on mute, and we are not hearing from him. But I think most of you know Mr. Murali Krishnan. He's he's the principal of the Meenakshi College of Occupational Therapy, and he's a member of IOTTT. So I introduced him. Let's get into the next topic in the agenda. So today we're going to, basically discuss or talk about manpower shortage in OT. So a brief background about the issue, to effectively meet the healthcare needs of the population, it is essential for any profession to continuously monitor its workforce and ensure adequate manpower supply. And, definitely OT is not an exception. And we have been producing OTs in India for more than 7 decades now. And, we know that there are several new schools in different parts of India, and Tamil Nadu especially has a lot more new schools. So we are definitely, kind of slowly started increasing our production of number of OTs in India. However, being the second most populous country in the world with more than 2.68 crore people with disability, the country's, the OT manpower production has always been inadequate. That's a general perception. Some of you may agree, disagree. That's what we are going to discuss. But in general, it's perceived to be inadequate right from the beginning. And also, one side we are producing the OTs, but other side we also need to take into account the professional attrition. A couple of my classmates who did really well during their BOT, one got married during the internship and never entered the workforce. The other one worked until she got married, and after that she never worked as an OT. So like that, just in my own simple cohort, I could give you some several examples of people left the field already for personal reasons or professional reasons. And in my immediate senior batch in my college, there are a lot of people who went into the IT side of things, like medical coding and stuff like that. They left the field. They never, soon after they graduate, they just kind of chose to be a medical transcriptionist or medical coder. And went that route and never returned back to the field. So there is a lot of professional attrition as well. So we need to take into account that issue as well. So it could be like, personal reasons, retirement, death, illness, leaving for personal or professional reasons, childcare, spouse's work, relocation to another country. So all these contributes to the professional attrition of OTs in India as well. So we need to take that into account. So that's sort of the background. So, we are really going to talk about, are we really producing enough OTs? So here's the brainstorming questions. Is manpower shortage in OT a contemporary issue? So the first question is basically, do you all agree that it's an issue? And then what is the current therapist-patient ratio? That might give us an idea about how many OTs we need to produce every year. And then we can look at, okay, we have 35 plus colleges with BOT and X number of colleges that producing master's graduates. And then also we need to account like how many people are entering into the workforce every year, how many people are retiring or in the professional attrition rate. We do not have solid data. So again, I really want to learn from you all, what kind of data do we already have on OT manpower in India? And how are we doing in terms of addressing the issue of supply and demand? You don't have to memorize all these questions. I will read the questions for you after we discuss each question. But that's what we're going to do, how to overcome this issue, any ideas that you may have, and how to spread the OT workforce across the nation and to ensure the urban-rural balance. Most of my survey studies, reveal that OTs are really focused and concentrated in major cities and also surrounding where the OT institutions are. So then you could find a lot more OTs in Chennai, where the OT colleges are kind of like, pulled there, in Mumbai, in Delhi. So there are pockets of places where there is a huge concentration of OTs, but in other areas, one or two, and especially in Northeast, I'm not sure, in the Northeast states, we just maybe a handful of OTs altogether. So we got to really think about or discuss about how to spread the workforce so that we can serve the population well and also ensure the equitable access to OT services across the nation. So with that, let me see, is there any participants waiting to join? No, okay. All right, so the first question we are going to discuss is, I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, and I request, if you're comfortable, only if you're comfortable, when you're sharing your perspectives, if you're okay, please turn on your camera. It kind of like gives a little bit more context and credibility to the message that you're saying, okay? And also in India, we have, there may be 10 contexts, 10 Sureshas and stuff. So it's better to see which Suresh is sharing that idea as well. So if you're comfortable doing so, please, show up your face on your camera and then share your perspective. So the first question I have, and again, IOTT members, we value and we discuss this a lot. You all know we brainstorm all the time. So first, let's give the audience a chance to share their perspectives and then jump on with your thoughts after that. So I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and we are going to discuss the first question. Is manpower shortage in OT a contemporary issue? So Cheruba, would you like to talk about your perspective? Do you believe that we are short in manpower in OT?
Sorry about the video part.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. So yes, manpower shortage is a contemporary issue as of now. Because considering the relevant therapist-patient ratio and the prevalence of all that, we have to consider that we have a lot of opportunities, but a lot of students as of now and therapists who have graduated are not continuing with the profession, because I've been with the college setup for quite a lot of time and come to know that a lot of students, they opt out of being in the profession and they choose some other profession after that. Yes, as you have already said, my batchmates and a lot of juniors also have chosen, and for the 2 years when I was in Savita also, I have come to know that a lot of students from the batches that I handled, they've also opted being a medical transcriptionist, and they've gone to some other companies and they've chosen other businesses also. So it is really a contemporary issue, and I agree that needs to be addressed as professionals of OT. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your perspective on that. And let's hear from others as well. So Nidhi, would you like to share your perspective?
Yes, sir. My apologies again for the video part.
No worries.
Yes. Me being a student, I don't have much of experience, but from whatever little I know, I really feel that yes, as awareness increases, we are realizing that there is a dearth of professionals. We know that people require services, but they don't know where to go to. They don't know what kind of people to approach or what kind of professionals to approach for that matter. And they probably end up going to the wrong professionals for the wrong kind of help. So I think there is manpower shortage, but at the same time, there is a dearth of awareness as well.
Yes, definitely. As I said, we are going to definitely talk about. It's going to be, the lack of awareness about OT in India is going to be a topic for another chat session, and we'll be talking about how to promote awareness and all. So today, so you agree with the fact that we are short in manpower, am I right?
Right, sir. Yes.
Okay. Right, Kumaresan. Kumaresan Armugam.
Yes.
Share us your
In my
perspective.
we have so many therapists.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Myself, Kumaresan.
Go ahead.
Personal opinion, we have enough amount of therapists and clinics also.
So you believe
We
that
have
we
to
have
look
enough number of
the
OTs
patient.
in India?
Yes, we have it, and nowadays the knowledge has come. They are trained more people. They will make the balance with the patient and therapist.
Okay, so that's your perspective. All right, thank you. So
Hello?
Sukumar?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead and
sir,
share your perspective.
Sir, according to my perspective, there was large number of professionals who were opting out of the profession that has ended before 2010 or 12, maybe. Now, the people who are graduating right now are mostly have started practicing occupational therapy itself. So the number of colleges also has increased. So now I have calculated nearly 450 seats per year, both including self-financing and autonomous colleges and government college, everything inclusive of 450 therapists per year they are enrolling. And
so
then
in India or in Tamil Nadu?
In Tamil Nadu. I am talking about Tamil Nadu, only about Tamil Nadu. So I think the number of OTs coming out from Tamil Nadu, I think we have reached the optimal and maximum numbers. Hopefully, in next 2 to 3 years, there will be enough manpower in Tamil Nadu. I don't know about other states.
So you believe that very soon we will kind of like make up that manpower shortage, but right now we have some manpower shortage, but very soon we will make it up.
Yes. In Tamil Nadu, I think the problem will be sorted out, but I doubt that whether there will be enough number of opportunities for the therapists who are coming out right now.
Oh. Okay.
Because the thing is like the remuneration the occupational therapist getting from, because I'm little worried that again the same phase like switching over of profession will happen soon when there are large number of people coming in. There will not be enough vacancies to fill in, so that again they will try to switch over the jobs. I feel like that because we have failed to create enough number of opportunities with a proper remuneration for occupational therapists in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, that's a different good perspective. And we see a new person join the call, Priya. So Priya, would you like to introduce yourself and share your perspective? Are we short in manpower in OT in India?
Okay, so I'm a senior lecturer in NIPMED, College of Occupational Therapy, NIPMED. Yeah, so I think there's going to be shortage always, okay? Because I feel client load is always, it's going to be increasing, okay? So as of now, we don't have any proper statistics about the conditions like autism or dementia and all those stuff. So we don't have. So as the population is going to increase, the need for the service also it's going to increase, okay? So I think as a OT professional, there's always going to be a shortage. So the clients are going to increase exponentially, but whereas the professionals, the trained and the competent professionals are going to be very less only. And now the person was sharing, sir, he was saying no. So like that, many people also are shifting to other careers, okay, because of the remuneration and because of the positions, because of the recognitions and all that. So until we come up with some, kind of what to say, maybe a role, the positions or a role or some kind of decision making plays, we cannot, what to say, we cannot make people who are the many competent therapists are switching to another profession. So we cannot do that. So we have to ensure that people are staying in this profession and practicing and increasing their competency and all that. So I think that need is always going to be there, and we need to keep on increasing the number of therapists. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I certainly align with your perspective. With increase in population, with increase in diagnosis, and with increased awareness about OT in India, definitely a lot more, need for service will be there, and thereby we need to really. That's why we need to have those data. We need to really see how many vacancies are being created every year. In what sector are we growing? So once we have the data, then we can start dodging and then say we need to produce at least like 7.2% more OTs every year from top of that number. So then we have to think about how many new programs we need and stuff like that. So yeah, the data is where we are really lagging, but I definitely align with your perspective. All right, so I think we covered others. So IOTT members. So Ashwini, you want to go first?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you raised a very valid point there, Ms. Priya. And in terms of with healthcare becoming better and better globally and in India, there's so much awareness around treatments and medical interventions. So that definitely correlates with the need for rehab services and services, habilitation services as well. So I think the manpower shortage is quite linked to the awareness of the profession. So I don't think that, I think one impacts on the other.
Yes.
So I think looking at this issue is going to require a few different lenses, including, okay, yes, there is shortage, but in terms of the current workforce, how effective are we in making an impact on how we are delivering our services? So I think we need to, I think this is going to be a long series of discussions if based on the lens we're looking at.
Got it. But from your perspective, you agree that there is a shortage, right?
Yes, I think so. It's just not reflected in current literature.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. And Suresh?
Karthik, I'll go next to the person.
Okay. So Murali? Murali, are you hearing us? Murali? All right, Suresh, I think it's your turn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's great. So I completely agree with most of them, except one who said there is no shortage. And I again feel I'll go a little more and then say it's not a contemporary issue. It's not the current issue. It's been an issue.
It's been an issue, but right now also it's an issue. That's why I meant it's.
Yes, it's increased actually. It's increased much more than what we actually started off to look at 20 years back or 30 years back. And I personally, with my experience, I feel there is a huge issue in training occupational therapists right from the beginning. It's not to do with how we groom occupational therapists after graduation. It is more about how people enter into the course. How do they decide about choosing occupational therapy, and what do they actually receive as learning and training within those 4.5 years? It is something that's really strongly associated with what I do after I graduate. So I strongly believe that there are lots of gaps and issues related to teaching occupational therapy in the country, and that is one reason why there's no interest towards doing something in occupational therapy after I graduate.
Got it. So you say that that is one other issue that kind of contributes to the manpower shortage in the field.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Murali, are you available to share your perspective, or if you're still unavailable, we'll go to the next question and we'll come back to you later. Okay, he put a message in the chat. Let's move on for the sake of time. So again, for those of you who are practicing in India, kind of like, would you please talk about what is the current therapist-patient ratio? So that will give us an idea about, okay, if we have X number of people with X number of conditions, and, the one person, typically in a full-time work day can only treat, say, 1:8, 1:6, whatever it could be. But based on your reflecting on your workload, or based on what you read or heard, can you share about the ideal therapist-patient ratio, or not ideal? I will take that word out. That's the contemporary patient-therapist ratio in India, OT versus a number of patients. Who would like to talk about this? Who has some? Sukumar, would you like to go and talk about it? Sukumar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I would like to give some idea regarding my experience in my district level.
Okay.
So, in Dindigul district, I have some data regarding there are some people who are applying for disability cards. So children with various developmental disorders. There is a list of children, and it says like 5,800 plus children are affected with various forms of developmental disabilities. Like that includes blindness, deafendom, locomotor disabilities, mental retardation, multiple disability, and even nowadays autistic also, autism also they are included. So there are around 5,800 people in Dindigul district itself.
In one district.
There are around some 4 occupational therapists, and in that one therapist is working as a part-time. 2 of them are working as a part-time therapist, and me, one of them are working as a full-time therapist, and another one is working in a adult rehab setup in a part-time setup. So everybody is like available for part-time, and here it is very tough for us to manage therapist patient ratio. So this is the scenario in Dindigul. In the same way, we can compare with all the districts except for the cities. Rest of the rural or some like except for cities like Coimbatore, Madurai, Chennai, Trichy. Only these 4 cities have enough number of, like, some increased number of occupational therapists, and rest of the districts are totally lack of therapists is there. Like only 4 to 5 or 6 to 7, very in single digit number only we have therapists availability in Tamil Nadu, sir.
So definitely, that's the urban-rural divide, or so that's another definitely a big issue to talk about. But to coming back to my question, so how many patients have been treated by an OT in a single day, a full-time, not a part-time therapist, by a full-time therapist? Would you say 8, 6?
No, actually, I'm working with autistic kids, so I take 2 to 3 children at a time to manage the manpower shortage.
So how many in total are you treating in a day? Just an approximate ballpark number.
4 to 5 batch, like it will come around 10, 12
4
to
to
15.
5 times 3, which means like somewhere between 10 to 15 patients a day.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so let's hear from Ms. Priya. So because she's working in NIPMED, I believe. Can you talk about this patient-therapist ratio that you're encountering in your setting?
Okay, like as far as private practice, I've seen my friends, practicing somewhere between 10 to 15 clients per day. So that is in a private practice where they have their own setup and they do that. So that is about the private practice. And in case of bigger organizations, I see they are handling like around 30 clients per day. So each therapist is responsible for 30 clients per day. And also, last week I had one special educator telling me that he was working in an SSA scheme, Education for All, and government scheme. And he was sharing that there was an occupational therapist who was responsible for close to 13 to 14 blocks. Okay. And in each block, there were more than 130, 140 kids. So, she was the only therapist who was going to handle all these children. And he was talking about, how she was, it was so much of a work for her that she has to do a lot of documenting. And she couldn't give, even the assessment she couldn't complete and all that. So I think that is the need, so such a need is there for as an OT, and it is so underrepresented, even in a fields where, our role is defined, or our role is very important. Even there, the therapists are underrepresented there. I feel so, on an average, in a general practice, it is close to 10 to 15 clients. In an organization, it is around 30 to 40 clients. Maybe in a bigger governmental projects, it will be, even more than 100 to 150 clients that they are responsible. But maybe as an attention, the person who has to give attention will be like around 100 clients per day. So they will be doing, the surveying, or maybe general patient education, or, general just information giving. So they might be managing something like that. So
Something
this is
like
the experience. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's mind-boggling. That's too much of a workload, and that will also, over time, that will lead to professional, burnout and disinterest, and eventually they will also kind of switch the field. Might encourage the therapist to like look for something else, right? If it's too much work, too much workload, also a reason for professional attrition in the literature. So, thank you. That's very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And Nidhi, I know that you are a master's student, but do you have an idea about a patient-therapist ratio that you heard about in India?
Yes, so I'm currently in a private hospital in Coimbatore. It's KMCH, of course. And the patient ratio, as everybody mentioned here, varies between 10 to 15 clients per therapist per day. On an average, each therapist sees at least 10 patients per day.
Got it. Got it. And so what is the duration of the session? If they are treating 10 people a day, it's like 30 to 45 minutes or an hour. I mean, if it's an hour, then it'll be like a 10-hour working day, which is impossible. I think it's an 8-hour working day in most places. So what is the average duration, like 45 minutes or 30-minute sessions each patient?
It's about 45 minutes to an hour per patient.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, but there'll be some overlap, while we're working with another patient, we can concurrently get started with another one and stuff like that. Wonderful. And I see Yasmini's comment. We'll go back to that later. Kumaresan, do you have an idea about the patient therapist ratio in India? Or what's your perspective on that?
Yes, sir. Actually, I'm working here more than 8 years in Saudi Arabia. I'm getting here very less patients. Even sometimes I couldn't.
Kumaresan, you're kind of breaking up. So we're hearing you a little bit and then you're going silent. So I think there's some network issues there on your end.
Yes. So I'm giving only 30-minute session.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the times we are following some documentation, data collection and everything. We have to start the session when the patient is coming, and the same way we have to close the session after completing the patient session, we need to, as usual, we are practicing now. Here we are getting very less patient ratios, but in India maybe more. I don't know much about. That's why I didn't give any opinion about Indian.
Got it. Got it. No worries. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Again, for the sake of time, it's already, we are into 45 minutes into the session. Of course, we started a bit late, so we can go if everyone is available for until like 75-minute session. So which means like another 15 minutes extra on top of the hour. So having said that, if any others have something compelling to say about patient-therapist ratio or the data that may come across, please go ahead and share. If not, then I will move on to the next question, including IOTT members. If you want to share something about the current patient-therapist ratio in India.
See, the global statistics actually says there's only 10 professionals or rehabilitation professionals per 1 million population in any country at the moment in terms of provision of rehab services. And when it comes to occupational therapist number, the last data that we have is from World Federation of Occupational Therapy. And it's in India, not just in Tamil Nadu. In India, it says that there are 3% per 1 lakh population of people in India. That's the 3 occupational therapists per 1 lakh population.
100,000 population.
In the country. And we definitely cannot look at the numbers to understand the issues in human resource development, especially in our science, because not all occupational therapists who graduate are practicing or directly providing services for persons with disabilities. There are people who are teaching. There are people who are just managing. There are people who kind of provide day-to-day services, and there are different kinds of people. And the skills and competencies for each kind of problem we have with respect to disability. It's not clubbing together people with autism or people with cerebral palsy. I'm just talking about the way in which the system in our country looks at these conditions are not sticking to the definition that we learn as occupational therapists. So we learn disability and rehabilitation as something, and the government systems that we have in our country, they understand it the other way around. The example that I can give you is the scheme that came into Tamil Nadu last week. It's called care at home delivery. So provision of rehabilitation services or care services at home. And this doesn't include us. And this is the kind of disjunct we have in terms of looking at whether there is shortage versus whether there is shortage for certain competencies and skills in our country. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we need to, talk about the competencies in different practice areas and stuff. So definitely, I'm getting a lot of ideas for future chat sessions already. I will, try to reflect on this conversation and try to jot down everything, and we will definitely have a conversation on each of those topics. Is anyone else want to say anything about patient-therapist ratio? But what have been shared already is very insightful. Different large organization government schemes versus private practice. But it's still a lot when compared to the other countries. 10 to 15 therapists a day, 1:10 to 15 is definitely a big ratio. All right, so let me move on to the next one. So anyone can go, if you have an answer for this. What kind of data do we already have on OT manpower? From my perspective, I think, we have these associations that has the, maybe the number of members. That's one kind of data that we have, like National Association, state branch and stuff. So Murali could maybe enlighten us a little bit if he has some information about the numbers. But in general, what other kind of data do we have? I know that Delhi Council and Maharashtra Council maintain a registry of practitioners in those two jurisdictions. So, and I think for Mumbai, even it's publicly available, the member sort of the registrants list. So once, not sometime in the recent past, maybe a couple of years ago or something, I saw some 800 plus people being registered there in the Mumbai Council. So we know that, that's approximately in the Maharashtra State Council, not Mumbai, Maharashtra. So Maharashtra Council, we have that X number of registered therapists in that jurisdiction. So what kind of data do we have on OT manpower in India? Anyone?
I
So,
don't think
manpower
we have data on manpower in India. I don't think we have data on manpower in India. And to be very precise, if you want to know how many OTs per state, we do not have that data too. We only have data provided by academic institutions in terms of and also people who want to register with the national organization IOTA, a detail that is there from that end, like from it's an active surveillance system we have. If you want, you register, and then you have your details as an OT. But we really don't know whoever is registered even in All India OT Association as an OT is practicing OT or not. It is
exactly.
completely a different ball game altogether. And then I certainly feel that we do not have data exclusively on different details related to skills competencies versus number of OTs for each kinds of problems.
You're very true. We are always like, lagging in data. I know I saw that Sugmar want to say something. So Sugmar.
Sir, regarding this, the only data which I got it from the government, it says that the 2015 vacancies, there are totally 784 applications received from occupational therapists for the 18 posts. That is one valid
For
data.
what post?
The 18 postings has been
18
filled.
posts. Okay, for 18
Yeah.
posts, there
In
were
that time, I have
784
received
applications.
784 applications. That is the
Okay.
only data which is from the government, and the other things during the other programs and other things we have some gathered around some 1,000 plus. That's it. There are people.
So in
1,000
Tamil
plus
Nadu, you say
in
by
Tamil Nadu.
somewhere between 1,000 plus therapists in Tamil Nadu.
1,000, yeah. But according to the number of seats in colleges and the number of years, there must be some 3,000 plus occupational therapists in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
But we have identified some people like around 1,000 plus only.
Okay. So the others either left the field or retired or went out of the field because of the professional attrition.
We couldn't identify those people, sir. We have to identify.
Got it. But yeah, that at least gives some kind of sense about, say, after 3,000, like only 1,000 plus, little more than 1,000 are in the field. So there's a lot of professional attrition which needs to be discussed as well. So anyone else, anything about the type of data? I mean, I believe that once we have these national councils and when the registration become mandatory, that will kind of help us get this data. And also, national level data and statewide data. So I'm really hopeful. I'm looking forward to that. So anyone else want to say anything before we move on to the next question?
Yes, sir. This
Yeah.
is Nidhi here. So regarding this very question, the last published data that I could come across was, I think, your published paper, which was about the workforce survey, which was done in, if I'm not wrong, 2018.
Yes.
So that was the only latest data that I could come across.
Got it. Yeah. In fact, there is one other due. I mean, I'm planning to just kind of benchmark the state of the profession. We need to do that survey, repeat that survey like once every few years. So first I did in 2015, then 2018. So 2021 is already due, but I'm already so busy with so many projects. But definitely, we have wonderful people at IOTTT and also we can kind of think about it and then maybe run another survey. The only problem with that is, the response rate is always suffers a lot. So a lot of people not responding to electronic surveys. So maybe I'm kind of really thinking what else can we do to increase the response rate so that the data we are generating is more valid and more generalizable. But anyway, thank you for that thought. And so let's move on to the next one. So this is again, all these questions are a little bit interrelated. So when we discussed about the previous question, we might touched upon a little bit as well. So how are we doing in terms of addressing the issue of supply demand? So are we kind of meeting the demand or no? Like as you said, like like when Ms. Priya shared the statistics about the patient therapist ratio, she said like 1:100 something patients. Definitely they can only do some patient education, high level interventions, not like individually focused interventions. So that shows that there is a demand and we are very short in manpower. We are not supplying enough manpower to meet the demand. But is that the case in all practice sectors, all organization setups and stuff like that? So how are we doing in terms of supply demand in when it comes to OT in India? That's a question. Anyone can go first.
Sir, this is Subman here.
Yeah.
My perspective is like there is a demand wise in all sectors, like adult and pediatric setup, and every setup needs people. But the society has been trained managing without occupational therapists so far. And
you say that society learned to manage their problem without occupational therapy intervention? Just to be clear.
Definitely. And
Okay.
doctors, the professionals, like medical professionals, they are saying the same words. What is the use of occupational therapists right now? When I met many people in various organizations, like dean of any medical colleges or whatever, we are managing with the staff which we have here. Why do we need it? This is the answer, surprisingly, that came from the head of the institutions, like government institutions itself. So rather than talking about demand and supply, and I think many of the medical professionals are unaware that there is a need for an occupational therapy in the rehabilitation setup. So they are the people who can raise the demand, but they are not willing to take up. So there is huge, like, because I would say that demand of any occupational therapist is not met with the society. I don't know whether this is because of medical fraternity unawareness, or the people who are started using the services have given word of mouth. The people who have benefited from the services have done a major role in increasing our demand. Other than that, the proper professionals, like any institutions or hospitals, they have not taken any steps to increase the demand, or you can say the professionals who have got into that any institutions have not taken any steps to increase the manpower or increase the demand. That is why I said we have failed to increase the vacancies for occupational therapists or demand for occupational therapists in the society so far. Till now, I have a doubt that definitely the society is not much sensitive. Like they have learned, definitely, as you said, they have learned living without us.
Yeah. I mean, I get you. Basically, there's a huge lack of awareness. So if people were to become more aware, there would have been a huge demand. But even with this limited awareness, you're telling that the demand in all sectors are kind of like started growing. And that could be the reason where there's a proliferation of a lot of colleges in the recent years also. So there is definitely that I think in terms of the awareness, I see like after that, in the past decade, it's been on the, I mean, not huge, not significant, but definitely it's on the rise. Even like personally, I get like my friends, family say, hey, I want to I'm thinking of joining or like putting my daughter in an OT course. I want to talk to you about it. So like those kind of conversations, a number of colleges, and all these colleges are running with full set of class, right? 50 plus students or whatever it is. So that all shows that definitely a little bit more awareness towards the OT programs, OT courses, OT as a profession. It's definitely on the rise, which is a good sign. We are definitely on a growth trajectory. But I definitely agree with you. If we were to play our role in all sectors as we supposed to, and if people become to aware, then the demand will be more. So any other perspective on supply demand with regards
So I
to
have a
OT?
doubt actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
OT colleges, there are totally some 11 colleges to my knowledge. So I personally feel that there is not enough teaching faculties being recruited till now, and this is one factor where the demand for OTs definitely should be there, but they are not using properly. And the second thing is like all the government institutions where there should be occupational therapy department in major, at least at the headquarters level, that is being neglected, and there is not a vacancy or there is not a department in any of the government institutions. And finally, with the private hospitals, and most of the 90% of workforce are self-employed in occupational therapy. There is no vacancy. So we have to deal properly with this problem, sir.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I mean, this ties back to what Dr. Suresh, talked about a little while ago. We definitely really need to do well in terms of, educating in the area of education as well. It's all kind of really tied to each other. So I know Murali wants to say something, but before that, I see Naresh joined the call a while ago, and he didn't get a chance to introduce. So Murali, just hang on for a moment. Let Naresh introduce himself to the audience, and then I will come to you. Naresh, go ahead and introduce yourself. Naresh?
Karthi, just 2 minutes. I'm just driving.
Oh, okay. Go ahead
Just
and,
later.
all right.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to
Yeah.
you later. Murali, please proceed.
Hi, I think this is the first time we are all kind of, overshooting our schedules and then like coming late and go. First of all, I apologize for my, not able to comment on things. My opinion on this shortage of manpower here is, it happens. Sukumar spoke about manpower shortage in colleges. I'm not looking at the colleges as of now. I'm purely looking at it as a manpower shortage which happens in the service area. I completely agree. The colleges needs to put in more efforts in recruiting more people. That definitely is there. But let me focus more on the service area here.
Yeah.
Recently, very interesting scenario happened with me is one of the government neurologists who is working with ICH has been continuously referring. I get a fifth client with a Parkinson's. And one more client, two more clients with a stroke, not stroke, one stroke and one PPRP, who is also a pediatric neurologist, basically. So what I understand, I had a nice, good discussion with the neurologist, and then he said, like, we don't have people who are handling adult neuro here in government sector or anywhere in the OT in city. He's working in Egmore ICH, which is surprising, and we know that also there is not many neuro OTs who are there in the government sector, because OTs are only in very few places in the government sector, and they just got in and they are doing exceptional, wonderful job as such. This is showing us there is always demand. If somebody is sending exclusively, I need OT, and then I can send you one after the other regularly in the 4-month gap. If I can get 7 clients referred from a government doctor, which means there is definitely a client load base which we have not explored. We have not shown that we can do this stuff. I am pretty sure there are many occupational therapists who are good in neuro. Not necessarily they are supposed to be PGs or like neuro electives or anything. If you are on UG with a degree, you are qualified to treat any case for that matter. So are we showing the interest? As Suresh mentioned and Ashwini also reiterated in the same thing, we have all been comfortable in one zone and we have gone into only one area of practice, which has been the breadwinner. So the demand factor, we are pulling our juniors also only towards the pediatric clinics. There is not even we don't even name our clinics as neuro rehab center or rehab centers. We name it as pediatric therapy centers. So we tag OTs into pediatrics, ergonomics, psychiatry, and I get like I'm just caught up with a psychiatric client who overshot me, so I couldn't even talk. My phones were on, I could hear you talk, but I couldn't comment back because the counseling session was on, life skills training for it. So the thing is, how many of us are literally taking this, because this is frustrating, this is difficult job, and we also need to upgrade our skills for this particular area wherever we want to go. We have studied everything, but we still need to upgrade ourselves in every area, every now and then. That is our responsibility.
Got it. In terms of practice area, again, talking about the workforce survey that I conducted in 2018, right? Again, 72% according to the survey belongs to pediatrics. And the next major area was neurology, fortunately, and then orthopedics and physical dysfunction. But geriatrics was just 1%. Geriatrics is another area where most of the Western countries are really 30 or 1/3 of their OT population working in geriatrics, where in India, 1% of the OTs. So, there are a lot more areas that we need to really tap into, and we have wonderful opportunities to contribute in all those areas. So definitely we'll talk about how to diversify practice, the OT workforce into multiple practice areas in another chat session. We will have an exclusive one for that. So thank you for that insight. I see Pooja joined us. So Pooja, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everybody. So, sir, can I get your question again?
No, just introduce you. I just noticed that you joined the call. Just introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, hi everyone. I am Pooja Mehta. I'm from Mumbai. I'm a occupational therapist. Um, so basically, I did my master's and then fellowship along with Murali sir. So yeah. So basically, I mean the first of all, I'm very sorry to join late. I had a session, so I joined pretty late. So, but the topic is very important topic and a very apt topic that we need to address as soon as possible, especially in India. And one thing that I've noticed that we are facing in India is that there is a disparity between the colleges in each state. So if you look at the Maharashtra, we have 4 colleges, okay, 1 private or deemed college. You look at South, there are multiple colleges there. I guess there are 11, if I'm not wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You look at Gujarat, you have only 1. You look at Delhi and side, you have 2. Uttarakhand, you have 1. Or I don't think so there is any in. So if you look at all of that, the disparity is so high in terms of colleges. So the first thing that maybe to help us increase workforce in India for OT would be to increase as many colleges in states which don't have colleges.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
if that, yeah, so
Perfect.
maybe a task force for that should be made.
Yeah.
Because see, many of us want to do something, but we don't know how to do it or who can guide us and how to proceed. So those who have started, like Murli sir, I keep approaching him for guidance in these areas. So something like that, if we have experts who can guide to start, so maybe you know small task force for individual states could be taken up, so that even if we the task force is managing to start 2 or 3 colleges in different states where there are no OT colleges, it would be great.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I understand that, yeah, definitely you agree that it's a contemporary issue. I welcome you to watch this recording at a later point in time. We talked about patient therapist ratio, supply demand issue, the data that we have on manpower right now in India and stuff like that. So definitely, just kind of take a look back at it, but your perspective is, well said and well taken. Definitely, we need to, one thing is to produce more OTs and also to increase the number of colleges in all parts of India. So the service accessibility is there in all parts of India.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful point. And you kind of led us to the next question already. So thank you for doing that. So again, we still, like after 75-minute session that we planned, we just have 5 more minutes. So again, if all of you want to just kind of briefly share what can we do to overcome the issue. So here the issue is the manpower shortage, and the shortages could be due to low number of production of OTs or high professional attrition. So you can share, on both sides. Of course, increasing manpower is nothing but increasing the colleges and also the quality of education and stuff like that. One side. On the other side, how to minimize professional attrition. So that's another area that we could. So in general, the question to all of you is, how can we overcome this issue, the manpower shortage of OT in India? Anyone who would like to go first, including IOTTT members, if you want.
I would start.
Go ahead, Suresh.
See, basically, this is something that helps us reflect on where we are with the science of the profession, as well as with the support that the science provides to bridge the gaps related to rehabilitation in the country. And that is where human resource becomes an important pillar for supporting the system. When you look at rehabilitation in general, in Indian context, we do not have a system. And that is why we do not have answers for some of the questions raised by Sugumar and Murli. So they basically ask, there are lots of people who are applying, there are lots of jobs that are available. However, it's all the jobs that's found by individuals themselves. It's not coming from a system. It's not coming from private hospitals. It is not coming from government hospitals and things like that. This is basically because we do not have a system for provision of rehabilitation services in the entire country. We do talk about RCI, we do talk about rehabilitation offices or centers in each district in the country. We have about 740 districts in India, and each district must have a disability rehabilitation center. However, those people from the Rehabilitation Council of India, except OTs or physios or any other professionals who are not a part of that, they are all sitting there to administer schemes. They are not doing therapeutic interventions. They are not treating patients. As far as I know, I am currently running a study for the government of Tamil Nadu looking at minimum standards development to register registration centers. So Murli was talking about rehabilitation centers. Nobody is coining themselves as rehab. It is not possible if you are an only professional. If I'm an OT, I cannot say it is a rehabilitation center. It is an occupational therapy service provision center. Definitely not a rehabilitation center. So in terms of looking at the issue, we should start from the basics to understand how our science is portrayed and how our science is actually contributing to the system currently. And the onus is on lots of organizations which actually say that they are the people who are running the show for occupational therapists in the country, especially All India OT Association. When they say we are there, Karthik, you're on mute, I think. I'm sorry. Hello? You're on mute, Karthik.
So just for the sake of time, so your solution for this issue is that we should start working at the system level in order to address this issue, from a broader perspective. Am I right?
Yes, and also I would basically urge the curriculum of occupational therapy should also inculcate the motivation for anybody who's joining the course to pursue occupational therapy as a career. That's another suggestion from my side. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. So that's again a valid point, but a lot of us, who are in the field are very passionate about our field. We know that. So sometimes I wonder, after going through that BOT program and learn all about occupational therapy, how can one step out of the field, sort of a thing? That's my personal opinion again. No,
Because teaching OT in India especially has always been an academic exercise. They start off with semester 1 and then they finish with semester 2, examinations, practicals. But how do you actually imbibe the competencies and skills required for an OT to contribute to the science as well as to the burning issues related to access and non-availability of rehabilitation services in the country?
Yeah, we
That
need to
must
more
be the core
contextualize,
idea.
right? Yeah, we need to more contextualize the education curriculum. Murli.
Hi, as Suresh mentioned it rightly, recently we kind of thought about it a lot, and then the UGC demands certain things to be done for the courses. Every course there has to be some professional skill building courses. We had an workout with Shobna Murthy ma'am, and we sent our children there for the postings, and then what we had worked on that is not something which is taught in the curriculum, which is actually brought up by Shobna ma'am, which we had it in our mind, but this was coming from her was fantastic. So we were like, okay, go ahead, take it up. So she gave a program where the children will be taught clinical skills as well as managerial skills there, and then not something which is in the syllabus. This is outside the syllabus topics, so outside the syllabus skills. So we achieved it. One set of children who went there, they got trained. And Suresh, thank you for bringing that up. Like, this is something that we need to build in our young graduates, that not just academic syllabus covering, also professional skill building, which is very important. I will just finish with one story of the thing. Like, recently I was watching YouTube clips, and then there is a singer called Cardi B. She stated saying, like, please go take business studies or accounts in your school days, because I studied music and then I became a singer and everything. But I have earned so much to manage that money, to run my business. I'm hiring somebody and paying hefty money to do my business. We can take just from that, like we don't know to run a business. We are not businessmen, businesswomen. No, we are only therapists. We are emotionally inclined towards a profession. That has to also develop into a professional business skill as well. You need to build on skills, not just business skills. That's for just for an example. You need skills to survive as a professional. Let that be manipulation skills. Let that be IASTM. Let that be aquatic therapy. They are not in the subject. You have to learn them extra and skill build, so that you will definitely go and settle into the jobs.
Got it. Thank you. So real quickly, I just want to give everyone an opportunity, please take like 30 minutes to, 30 seconds to 1 minute to give your answers. So Sukumar, what can we do to address the issue of manpower shortage?
Sir, I just second the views of all the seniors who have shared their views. And probably the thing is like the practicing professionals should be given a chance to empower themselves so that they can survive and they can compete with the upcoming therapists along with the flow. So at the same time, we have to be ready to increase the number of vacancies and how we can make our demand in the market. This is totally a new question. We have to all the professionals has to find the answer for this. So this is the main thing. So we have to go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Priya, your perspective on how to resolve this issue.
Yeah, like how Dr. Suresh was saying, we need to have some representation in the government. Yeah, that is a thing. And otherwise, I think the scope of practice, we can keep on increasing. Like, for example, instead of just dealing only with the, rehabilitation or only with the, a certain population, we can expand to health promotion also. Like, for example, we can go for health promotion in geriatrics, or even for that matter, even in children, even in normal children. Many a times my husband used to say, why do you only, depend only on the, rehabilitation of these kind of children? Why can't you work on the normal children also? Why can't you work on the emotional intelligence? Why can't you work on the, resilience and all that? So you have so much of scope. Because see, we have seen in many OT's kids that they are very different, they're very empathetic, very resilient, very independent and all that. So why can't you pass on those skills even in the normal children? Why can't you bring the best potential from them? And also we can expand our scope. I think each of us, whatever be the demand, I think all of us have a place. So we don't have to really worry about that thing. Like, for example, we can venture into AI. My husband was talking about, there is something called pattern recognition. There is something called, cognitive flexibility and all that. So these are the terms that I've been, reading and all that. So when those terms came up and he was saying, see, all these stuff, but why don't you explore these options? Why don't you go and all that? So I think there are a lot of leadership programs that are coming in normal schools also. Even, in my son's schools, it's coming, like leadership programs are coming from grade 3 and 4. And when I ask them, why don't you have, they have a physical trainers, they have a, they have physiotherapists. And then I was asking, why don't you have an occupational therapist in your leadership building team? Then they were like, they weren't aware. And they were asking, ma'am, why don't you refer some OTs? But when I was looking for it, I was not able to find the competent therapist to suggest to them. So I feel there is a lot of need. I mean, we can create a lot of demand for our thing, but only that we need to have more creativity, and we need to break the traditional roles, and we need to, explore the new possibilities. So we need to venture on the normality also, and also venture on the promotion, health promotion, like that. So I feel we can do a lot more. So demand, whatever be the demand, I think we can, we can always have work for all of us, I feel. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, like, see, the one side is we are really talking about the manpower shortage. I totally agree with you that we need to venture into more new areas and we need to become more innovative. And, I always think that like as you say, we need to like kind of break the traditional perspective and role, and then we need to venture out. I mean, I see that, what are the society's need with your OT skill set? How can you resolve a need of the society? If you start looking at from that perspective, I think all you said falls under that ambit. Is basically, we will find tons and tons of opportunities. So even if you produce a lot more OTs than we are producing now, there won't be a big issue in terms of settling them, or making them what to say, well settled in their profession. So definitely a lot more opportunities. But again, basically my question was, I don't know how it was understood, but basically how can we, one side reduce the professional attrition as well as increase the number of OT production per se. I think number of OT production is pretty straightforward. Increase the number of colleges, and then like try to impart quality education, existing program as well as in the future programs. And Pooja already suggested that we need to also focus on areas, on states where there is no OT colleges. We need to develop colleges there. So I think the production side, that's probably the ideal answer. On the other side, we really need to talk about a little bit about professional attrition, but we already way above our time limit. So, but still I see 3 hands, so I'm going to give the opportunity to them before we wrap up this call. Okay, so Pooja. Pooja, would you like to talk? I see your hand. All right, so if Pooja's not ready, Nidhi, would you like to share your perspective?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, Pooja, but let Nidhi finish. Yeah, you're audible now, but let Nidhi finish her point and then you go.
Okay, so should I finish or somebody else was speaking?
Nidhi is going to speak now.
Okay, let them finish because I detect some network issue over here. I'll get back again.
Sure, Nidhi, go for it.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned about 2 issues. One is about the increase in the number of colleges. Almost as of now, we see that all the colleges are running full. But then students, before they enter into a profession, they do tend to have, now that we have access to technology, they do tend to have at what a profession looks like. They go on Google and they search how much is a POT paid at the end of a career, at the start of their career. So definitely the issue of remuneration is also something which needs to be addressed, in my honest opinion, sir.
Got it. All right, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And Murali, would you like to go next? Or Pooja is back. So Pooja, so Murali, just hold on. Let us give an opportunity to Pooja.
Okay, so when I was suggesting about the number of colleges, increasing that, before that, I mean, so my brain also worked to say that, okay, the issue lies in number of students even enrolling for OT. So say, for example, we already have these many, and I'm sure that, 80% of our colleges must be going full, but there are still 20% colleges which do not fill seats. So the prime issue or the root cause or where we can work is maybe increasing awareness among 11th and 12th standard students, who go for science, that, okay, OT as a career or a profession. And so if we target that in all the, states equally, and now since many of the things happen on webinar, and because of the pandemic, it's become a bit easier to do that. Maybe this opportunity we should take to increase that awareness so that when we start the colleges, there is a demand. I mean, otherwise
the seats are full.
pretty
Otherwise,
difficult to sustain a college.
Yeah,
because government wants, us to sustain a college by showing seats are full. I mean, so we'll have to simultaneously work on that as well.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that additional perspective. I totally agree. Thank you. Murali.
Hi. See, I think this point we have already discussed in the last meeting itself, and we pondered over it in our own meeting as well. Finding out how many people are graduating and what happened to those graduates. I think I remember Suresh talking extensively on this. What happens to those graduates will probably give us an answer why we are running short, because I'm pretty sure in my batch 32 have joined. In that, who are working is hardly some 15 or 14 people who are working, and then whoever is working is also either abroad or running clinics. So the number of people really in demand to attend the client flow is little less. So if we can find out, if we can have some way of finding out what happens to the graduates coming out of the college and where do they go? Are they going for PG? Are they going for working and stuff? That might give us an idea why we are kind of not thing, because this will give us an idea. The people who are choosing occupational therapy to study, are they really choosing it for the profession or just picking up as another course? That's all.
Got it. I mean, that's again a point well taken. We will talk about it in IOTT meeting to see, what can we do in this regard. Kind of really thinking of some wild ideas, as you all know, but I will share that in our meeting and then like see how, the only thing is, we got to really like validate the approach that we're going to use in order to do the data collection. On one side, first of all, whether we want to do it or not. I mean, definitely it's something worth doing. So let's really think and talk about it, in IOTT meeting, and then like maybe like try to come up with some sort of an project for that issue. Thank you. So I see that we have to make more options to work in different places for newcomers by comparison. Thank you. So again, for the sake of time, I know that still, there will be some valuable ideas, and I just want to give 1 minute to Naresh to say anything that he wants to communicate about the issue of OT workforce shortage. So Naresh, are you available to say something now? Naresh? Probably he's still driving. Anyway, so the two things before I wrap it up. Thank you so much for all of you to spend your Saturday evening, with this talking about this important issue. Definitely in a few days, I will try to make this recording available on our IOTT blog. And if you have something that you forgot to say now that occurred later to you, feel free to add your perspective as the comment thread. And this is for even anyone who listens to this, they can also go ahead and start commenting on the thread. So thereby, in addition to the recording, we have the comment thread with some rich information for the audience. And I also want to take this opportunity to invite you all for the future chat sessions as well. We value your opinion. Of course, some topic may not appeal to you, may not resonate with you, but sometimes you may have a schedule conflict. But try to, as much as possible, join our Saturday night chat sessions. I think this is definitely something that we must do, like brainstorming on different areas that affect our practice. And also feel free to email us with suggestions for future sessions, like topics that this is something that we need to discuss. This is something that you could consider. So if you give us a pool of topics for future sessions, we will prioritize and we will find moderators to facilitate the sessions, and we will kind of continue to move forward. Again, spread the word. That probably you might got some value out of this session. So try to talk about that, spread the word, invite your colleagues and friends to join the session as well. More different perspective, more richer the conversation. So, let's try to do that as well. Once again, thank you so much.